Back with more Open Court, executives from Las Vegas, and I want to talk draft and the art versus science of drafting NBA players, because every year we in the media spend months ahead of time poring over all the prospects, who makes sense where, who's going to be a good player, and history proves out over and over again that there are second-round picks that every team in the league passed on, Isaiah Thomas or Draymond Green, who turn out to be really good players, all-star players. And there are plenty of first-round picks who just don't pan out for whatever reason. So how much is art? How much is science?
I've thought about the draft, Matt, and I don't think we do. I don't know I'd be interested to hear what these guys have to say, but I've talked to GMs in other sports. They don't put the general manager in the position that our sport does as far as making decisions with not the most information. But when you're sitting in the room making a huge decision, if you draft the right or wrong player, it can affect you for 15 years. It really can. I mean, because the way the rules are structured, you get the right guy, he becomes a restricted free agent, you're the first opportunity to pay him. I don't know that a player has ever turned down a max offer on an extension. I don't think it's ever happened. So you get a player for at least 7-8 years, and if you get the right player, that's transformative. So we all know this. So you're sitting there at the draft, and you have a group of people that have seen this player more than you have. And unless you guys get out more than I don't know. Your scouts see them more than you do. Mm-hmm. So
their own fans do.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're making this huge decision, and everybody's, if you guys are the 5 scouts, you're looking at me, and you all have your opinions, and one of you will say, I saw him 8 times. I saw him, blah, blah, and I'd say, well, that's a lot of times. And he has a very definitive opinion. And I'd say, well, I saw him twice. I saw him at the start, and I saw him in the conference tournament. I don't know that the model that is currently, and the amount we have to be around our own team now, I mean, I'm sure these guys decide, I feel as if being away from our team is getting harder and harder. I'd like to find a better way than what exists now, and a better model. And why we've done anything is not because of me, it's because I empower the guy that saw him more and said, well, okay, if it's a close call, you saw him more. But we know when we get it right or wrong, public says, they think it's one guy, Wizard of Oz, in a room, we're pushing button. We have teams of people around us that I know we all do, that make us successful or struggle. And how do we recognize and have humility to say, if you think this is the guy, I'll go with you. That's hard when we know what's coming down on us.
Right.
Now, if we're wrong, you don't want to be like, well, Matt, when they're killing you in the media because you blew the draft, and you go, wasn't me, it was my guy. Nobody cares, right? What are you going to say? Like, your job, your responsibility.
I think Pat did that
you know?
once,
Yeah.
No.
Correct answer, Mr. Corleone.
Well done.
Well, how confident do you feel when the moment arrives that you have all the information and that's our guy?
It's so much information, what you said. Like, you got the scouts, and then you have the analytics, and then you have the intel. It's just so much information. And then, you look back and see the success rate of this draft, and then you look at the physical, and then you look at the athleticism, and you look at, how does it fit with your group. And, you want to say, yeah, it's going to work. But then you're kind of hoping. But then you got to feel confident in your process. And I think that's what we always go back to is our process. And you got to believe in your process. And, that's what we've done.
So why do teams get it wrong?
Well, I think you try to make it as much science as possible, but the reality is it's still like more than half luck, randomness, good fortune. I mean, it's provable. You can study it. And even the best teams who draft the best, and some of them are up here, don't get it right all the time. Like, I remember we drafted Chandler Parsons 38, go us, did a great job, great pick. Our owner came over, our owner's very smart. He goes, you guys made a huge mistake. And I was like feeling good. We drafted, he's like, that was our 3rd pick in that draft. If you knew Chandler was that good, you should have picked him at 14 or 20. Right. And I was like, that's a good point. I was like, would you believe? I knew he'd last till 38. And he goes, no. I was like, yeah, you shouldn't. I had no idea. So, I mean, it's provable. You're just trying to increase your batting average. Really just trying to get it 5% better than the next team. Anything over that, it's not going to happen. I mean, and maybe by looking at the process, you can eke out another 1%, but That's about it. And the teams that are 5% better are the ones that win, though, actually. That edge creates a win.
Sometimes it's just about location. Right player, right team. And it gets an opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have get in a different different organization. It fits the style of play or what you're looking for with the team. It may go to a different team that's looking for something different. And then at the end of the day, it's in human beings judging other, imperfect human beings. You're looking at guys who are 19, 20, 21 years old trying to guess what they're going to do over the course of their lives. And you're dealing with changed circumstances. They're going, in many cases, from not having money to suddenly being instant millionaires. It's a different game, and how everyone, adjusts to it, you never know. You increase your odds by going after the best talent, who you believe is the best player. Because at the end of the day, if you're wrong, at least you're wrong because you judged the talent wrong, not because I thought this player was better and we chose to do something different.
And it will humble you. If anybody's sitting up here saying, well, I got it right, yeah, just stick around.
Yeah.
You don't get it wrong. I mean, if you haven't already, and it's really hard. It's really hard.
It's a combination of art and science. I mean, as some of us skew science, some of us skew art. I mean, for our organization, Daryl, Mark, they're in a whole different stratosphere in terms of advanced analytics and projections and things like that. For that group, you've also got the Indian fishing guides, which is true, which are, don't tell me why, but there's certain guys that when they see a certain player and they've got a long track record of projecting 20-year-olds, or if we would have, gone on analytics, there's no way we would have drafted Dirk Nowitzki. No way. Well, this year was a critical draft. We knew going into this draft that, you can have fun with the late first-round picks and take some chances, but when you're picking 9, you cannot make a mistake. And that's
The tough thing is how you judge 9. Like, if you pick 9, a lot of media fans, they say 9 has to be, you have to pick better than the next 51 picks. Well, the odds of that are, so low. Whereas when people are evaluating whether teams can draft, they have to look at historically picks around 8, 9, 10, 11. How often do they become good, and how does your 9th pick turn out? If you judge it, if you pick 6, you have to be better than the next 54 picks, you're done. That almost never happens.
Before we close the book on this chapter, I want to ask you, because of your long history scouting overseas, about the difference between evaluating young overseas players, European players in particular, who've been pros for 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 years when they're draft eligible, versus the one-year college guys primarily here in the U.S.
They're all snowflakes. I mean, and the guys in Europe generally, and the leagues in Europe have gotten better and better, through the years. Some have taken a little, step down in recent years, but Dirk, for example, played for basically Division III Germany. I mean, he literally was playing against, YMCA type talent. I think when you grab a player from Europe, you have to have almost a 2-year game plan. The first year is them getting used to the nuances of our game, the American game, the way it's played, cultural differences. And the second year, in a lot of respects, is like that player's rookie year. So you got to look at it a little bit, in my opinion, differently. Unless a guy comes from, a really Americanized culture and is mature beyond his years. Again, every player is his own entity, and you have to, really measure everything.
Those of us who are just YMCA talent are a little hurt right now.
With you. Thank you. Sounds like we've all landed on it's a bit of a crapshoot, the draft.
It's not a crapshoot, but there's at the end
No,
of the day.
it's all the GMs. It's all the GMs.
There's, as with anything, there's a certain amount of fate that's involved. There's a certain amount of luck that's involved.
What CEO or president, every hire they make is perfect? That's what what if we got it right every single year? That'd be boring. You guys wouldn't have anything to talk about. Why did they draft this guy 7? He sucks. It's an awful pick. They say, let's redraft. We work really hard and we spend a ton of money.
Well,
And a lot of it will come down to that player.
Yeah,
At the end
the
of the
intel
day,
on each pick,
it's
the book that we create on each player, you would not believe.
I will say, to back up what Bob said, though, in the hiring, one of my pet peeves is when, you have to admit when you're wrong. And I hate when organizations, they hire a coach, and then 3 years later they pretended, it's almost like they pretend they didn't hire him. They're like, we hate our coach, you have to own the good and the bad.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break here. More Open Court executives from Las Vegas on the way.